Hi, my name is Marcel. I'm the co-founder of Tusk. Tusk is an AI testing platform that generates and runs unit and integration tests for your PRs. So I'm going to jump into this PR that I have on GitHub. So this repo is already integrated with Tusk. We have the GitHub app installed as well as a test environment set up so Tusk can self-run its tests. You can imagine I'm an engineer pushing code for a new feature, which is an enforcement mechanism for seat limits for organizations in our web app. Now, I can set Tusk to run in CI on every commit, or I can go here in the labels and type in Tusk generate tests, and there should already be a label to kick off Tusk's test generation run. So now if I click this, what that is going to do is obviously add the label to the PR, but that's going to kick off Tusk's test generation run. As you can see, it's now running in CI, and you can also click to view the actual output. In this case, it'll take you to the loading state. What's happening here is Tusk is looking at your code base context in the form of the PR's diff. We also look at any dependencies related to the scope of the PR. So for example, if you're modifying function A, which calls function B, which calls function C, we get all of that context through the language server as well as a graph of the code base. Another thing that we also get is the PR title as well as body to use as business logic, along with any linear or Jira tickets that you have linked to the PR. Awesome. So now that we have those two types of data, we generate tests, we run the tests, and we also iterate on them. So within about 10 minutes or less, what you're going to see is something like this, which is a PR comment showing you a summary of the tests that were generated, as well as the execution output. So in this case, we're looking at 10 tests, 6 have passed, and 4 have failed. And we give you a list of the key points as well, almost as if it's code review. The cool thing now is that you can actually click View Tests, and what that is going to do is also allow you to go directly to the output where you can actually click to view granular details of the test case that we've just generated. Now, anything you see in this page is already guaranteed to be fully executable because we self-run and iterate on the tests, so a failing test in this case would be indicative of a potential bug. Now I can look to see that the test code is mocking the user service correctly, so that's good. And I can also click into the test output to see that it's returning true when I'm expecting false. So this is indeed a subtle bug in our code where at the boundary condition, we're allowing the user to add one more seat than necessary. So we also provide the potential fix here, which is to basically alter the logical operator. And that's something I can copy and paste into cursor or Claude code in order to fix the actual test. Awesome. Now, you also have the option of excluding certain tests that Tusk has generated before adding it to your PR. So for example, if client ID in this case should never be non-existent, you can exclude that. And you can also mark it as unhelpful and saying that it's low or no value. And this actually fine-tunes the test generation for future runs as well. For the sake of this demo, I'm going to select everything. And now the last step here is adding these tests to your code base. And you can do this in 2 separate ways. So one, you can commit the test to the existing PR's branch, or you can actually create a separate PR. The latter is typically better if you're trying to merge the original feature PR quickly. In this case, I'm going to select everything and click commit tests. And what that is going to do is add the tests that I've just generated here as a new file in the PR that I just showed you earlier. So if I go back, you should now see that there's a new commit for @tusk tests. And if I click into that, we have now created a new user service test file with the 10 tests that I have generated with Tusk. Awesome. So that's the end-to-end flow. And just a couple of things I wanted to also show you while I'm here is that you can also customize your agent to your specific testing best practices by going to your test execution environment and altering things like symbol selection guidelines as well as test code guidelines. So this is an example where we gave Tusk a code snippet as reference for how to use the live database properly when setting up fake data for testing purposes. You can also, beyond just using Markdown, use the symbol to also pull in context from specific files. So for example, in this case, I can go to @local front-end testing, and that brings in all the context in that Markdown file into this specific field. Lastly, I just wanted to quickly show you that you can also set up Tusk to run as a scheduled pipeline to backfill tests for files with low coverage across your code base. You can specify a target directory, for example, in this case. And so what Tusk will then do is run a coverage script, find those files with low coverage, and immediately raise a PR with the tests that you need to get the coverage up. That's a walkthrough of how Tusk works in 3 different workflows, and you can let me know if you have any questions. Thank you so much.